we cannot but take the world to be real so long as we take this body to be I.
Yeah.
Only one thing is actually real, and that is I.
Yeah.
But so long as we are aware of ourselves as I am this body consequently seems to us to be real.
Yes.
And the body is a small part of this vast universe.
Yeah.
So the whole world seems to be real.
Yes.
We can see this, exactly the same thing happens in dream.
Yeah.
While we are dreaming, we project a dream body and dream world.
Yeah.
That dream body seems to us, while we are dreaming, to be I. So because that dream body seems to be I, it therefore seems to be real.
Yes.
And hence the whole dream world seems to be real.
Yeah.
So even if the thought occurs to us in a dream, or this must be just a dream, it still seems to us to be real.
Yes.
So that is just, that thought, this is just a dream, is just one among so many other thoughts.
Yeah.
But as soon as we wake up, our identification with that dream body is severed.
Yes.
And immediately we recognize, oh, that wasn't real, that was just a dream. So what a moment before seemed to us to be so real, that body that seemed to be I and that world that seemed to be real, are suddenly recognized to be just a mental fabrication. But we can recognize that clearly only when our identification with that dream body is severed.
Yes.
And that is severed by our waking up.
Waking up, yeah.
So it is very important when we're following this path to understand that this body is not I and this world is not real.
Not real.
Because so long as we take these things to be real, our mind will naturally be going after them.
Yes.
So in order to, this is why Vedanta, in classical Advaita, they say that what are the preliminary qualifications? The first qualification is Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka, being able to distinguish the permanent from the impermanent.
Impermanent, yeah.
Everything in our experience is impermanent, except I. Only one constant throughout, not only throughout waking and dream, but also throughout sleep, is I. Even ego, that is the adjunct conflated I that is aware of itself as I am this body, even that ego is impermanent, because we seem to be ego only in waking and dream.
Yes.
So the one reality is only that fundamental awareness I am.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a fleeting appearance.
Yes.
And everything else appears only in the view of ourself as ego. When we rise as ego in waking and dream, the body seems to be real, the world seems to be real. All this, we experience multiplicity whenever we rise as ego. When we do not rise as ego, there is no multiplicity at all.
Yes, that's
so all multiplicity depends for its semi-existence upon the semi-existence of ourself as ego.
Yeah, superimposed.
Yes. So this is why Bhagavan says in verse 26 of Uludunapadu, Ahandayundayin anatumundahum. If ego comes into existence, everything comes into existence. Handayin drail indru anatum. If ego doesn't exist, everything doesn't exist. Everything means all phenomena. So, because phenomena appear only in the view of ourself as ego.
Yeah.
So Bhagavan has correctly diagnosed that the root problem is ego.
Ego.
In classical Advaita, you will read that the root problem is avidya.
Avidya, yeah.
But for whom is avidya? Avidya is only for ego. So ego, avidya and ego are not actually two different things.
The same.
Because we can never say that we do not know ourselves, because we always know I am.
Yeah.
But though we know that I am, we do not know what I am.
What I am.
So our ignorance is not an ignorance of our being, it's an ignorance of our identity.
Yes.
That ignorance of our identity arises only because we identify a body as I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many people, many people who give learned discourses on Advaita philosophy, they will say first there is ignorance, and then only there's the error of taking the body to be I.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
According to Bhagavan, they're one and the same thing.
Same, yeah.
That is, so what is called avidya in classical Advaita is what Bhagavan has clarified is nothing but ego.
Ego, yeah.
So ego is the root problem. And you started by asking about the problem of taking the world to be real.
Yes.
We can understand that by studying the Advaita philosophy and Bhagavan's teachings, we can understand why the world must be real. I'm sorry, must be unreal. It cannot be real because it's just an appearance.
Appearance.
So we can understand that, but however clearly we understand that, it still seems to us this world is real. Because so long as we are aware of ourselves as I am this body, we cannot, but it is impossible not to experience the world as if it is real.
That's right.
But just because it seems to be real doesn't mean that it is actually real.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what lends seeming reality to the body and consequently to the world is ourself. That is because we identify the body as I, therefore the body seems to be it seems to be real, and therefore the world seems to be real. So the root problem is this identification with the body. And Bhagavan has revealed another thing that hasn't been so clearly and explicitly revealed in classical Advaita, in all the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, all the commentaries. Nowhere has it been made so clear as Bhagavan made it. What is the nature of this ego? That is, Bhagavan put it very nicely in verse 25 of Ulujunapadu. But though he expressed it particularly clearly in that verse, this is actually a principle that's underlying all his teachings. This is such an important principle to understand. That is what he says in verse 25. In the last line of the verse, he describes ego as uruvatra peyahande. That means the formless demon ego. Pay means pisasa. So pisasa, a demon who comes and possesses people. So such as ego, it's possessed this body. He calls it a formless demon ego. Because it is formless, it has no form of its own. What he means by saying formless is that it has no form of its own.
Form of its own, yeah.
So without a form of its own, it has no separate existence. Because in a state of formlessness, there's only one thing. That is that all finite things are forms of one kind or another. Not only material forms, but also all thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, conceptions. These are all forms. Anything that you can distinguish one thing from another thing, both those things must be forms.
Forms, yeah.
But underlying this appearance of forms is the one reality.
One reality.
Which is infinite and therefore formless.
Yes.
So, because ego has no form of its own, it is in no way distinct from the one infinite reality. This is what is called in this is what is referred to in classical Advaita as Jiva Brahmaikya, the oneness of Jiva and Brahman. That
Yes,
is,
yes.
even now, Jiva and Brahman are one and the same thing. So
Yes.
what does that mean when he said they're one and the same thing?
The consciousness I, Jiva refers to.
Yes, that is, Bhagavan has explained it very nicely in verse 24 of Upadesha Undiyar.
Okay.
There he says, Irakum ekayal isa jivagal oru poreyava undipara upadi unave verundipara. What that means is, Irakum ekayal means by being nature, or because of their being nature. What that implies is, because in their essential nature is just pure being.
Yes.
Isa Jivagal, that is the God and soul, God and Jiva, are just one porol. Porol is a Tamil word, but means the same as Vastu in Sanskrit. So one reality, one substance.
Yeah.
And that one substance is their being. So in their essential being nature, they are just one.
One, yeah.
But upadi unave veru. That means the adjunct awareness is different, is what makes them seem different. The literal meaning is only adjunct awareness is different. What that implies is that the adjunct awareness is what makes them seem to be different. Adjunct means upadi. I think you're familiar with the word upadi.
Upadi, yeah.
Upadi is something that, upadi means a disguise or a false identification. That is one thing that is but you've got a primary thing, a secondary thing, but the primary thing is mistaken to be. That is an upadi.
Yeah.
So an upadi is what we take ourselves to be. So upadi unavu means that upadi awareness. What that implies is the upadi conflated awareness, the adjunct conflated awareness. In other words, the awareness, I am this body.
I am this body, yeah.
Because we identify ourselves as I am this body, we seem to be different from God.
Yes, that's true.
I can't be aware of myself as I am Michael and say at the same time I'm God, because then if you make the equation, then that means Michael is God. That makes no sense at all, because Michael is just the name of this limited person. When it is said in the Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, what that means, that doesn't mean that Kartik is Brahman.
Yeah.
It means the reality, what you actually are, the I in you, that is Brahman.
Yes.
So Kartik is just an upadi, which is now conflated with that I. That is what Bhagavan also refers to, and it's also in classical Advaita, Chit Jada Granti.
Chit Jada Granti, yeah.
The Chit is the Sat Chit, which is that fundamental awareness I am.
Yeah.
Jada is the body. The body means not just the physical body, but all the five sheaves. All 5 sheaves of Jada.
Yes.
These two are mixed together in such a way that they seem to be the same. So now we're aware of ourselves as I am this body.
Yeah.
That is the Chit Jada Granti. That is the Upadi Unavu. That is what makes us seem to be different from God.
Yes.
So without the Upadi, there is only the Jiva minus Upadi is God.
God, yeah. Jiva
so in the next verse he says, knowing oneself without Upadis is itself knowing God, because God shines as oneself.
Yeah.
So that is the principle of Jiva Brahmaikya. So Jiva and ego are one and the same. They mean the same thing. So ego essentially is nothing other than Brahman.
Yes.
Because its ego is, in its essential nature, it's formless. And as being formless, it has no separate existence.
Yes.
So how does ego come into existence? Or they even say how it comes. We can't say how it comes into existence, but we can say what the nature of ego is. And this is what Bhagavan describes in this verse. So as I say, in the last line, he describes ego as the formless demon ego. But he starts the verse, that is the subject, the understood subject, but it comes right at the end. So he starts the verse by saying, Urupatriondam, grasping form, it comes into existence. What that implies is, as soon as we rise as ego, we grasp the form of a body as I.
Okay.
So grasping, so though ego is in its essential nature, it's formless.
Yeah.
When it comes into existence and grasps the form of a body as I, it seems to have a form. I am the form of this body, this form of 5 sheaves.
Yeah. So like one doubt.
Yes.
Michael. So the grasping, this body or this like.
Yeah.
So this grasping power is like synonym of intelligence. So intelligence is
not. I wouldn't say it's synonymous with the intelligence. That is, ego in its essential nature is formless.
Yeah.
So how does something formless grasp a form? Ego grasps things in its awareness. So it grasps the body as I by being aware of itself as I am this body.
Yeah.
So he said, grasping form, it comes into existence.
Okay.
Then the next sentence he says, grasping form, it stands. What that implies is it cannot stand, it cannot endure for a moment without constantly grasping a body as I.
Yeah.
So ego is wholly dependent on the body, but it grasps as I. But that doesn't mean that the body exists independent of ego. Because in the next verse, he says, if ego comes into existence, everything comes into existence. So just like in dream, as soon as we begin dreaming, we are aware of ourselves as I am this body in a dream. But the dream body doesn't exist prior to our beginning to dream. So as soon as we rise as ego in dream, we project a body, experience that body as I, and through the 5 senses of that body, we project a seemingly external world.
Yeah, understood.
So in this verse 25, he said, grasping form, it comes into existence. Grasping form, it stands.
Yes.
And then in the next sentence, he says, grasping and feeding on forms, it flourishes abundantly.
Yeah, understood.
That is, having grasped the form of this body as I, we are constantly attending to things other than ourselves.
Yes.
That is what he means by grasping form. That is, being aware of anything other than ourselves is grasping. Yeah. And because ego is formless, all the forms that it grasps are things other than itself.
Yeah, understood.
And he said, grasping and feeding on forms. That is, the food on which ego lives is constantly being aware of things other than itself.
Yes, understood.
And then he says, uruvittu urupatram, leaving form, it grasps form. Because it cannot stand for a moment without grasping form. So if it leaves one form, it grasps another form.
Another form, yeah.
So during the waking or dream state, the ego is constantly jumping from one thing to another thing, constantly feeding on things other than itself.
Yes, understood.
When a dream comes to an end, that dream body ceases, it lets go of that dream body and it grasps this waking body.
Yeah, waking body. Yeah.
Likewise, at the end of the life of this waking body, it will leave this and it'll grasp some other. So it goes on. But according to Bhagavan, this waking state is also a dream.
Yes.
So any body that it grasps is something that it has projected and then grasped.
Yeah.
So from these sentences, these initial four sentences, we understand the very nature of ego is to grasp form. In other words, to be aware of things other than itself.
Yes. Name and forms.
Yes, but it's without being aware of names and forms, ego cannot stand.
Yes.
So its very nature is to be constantly grasping form. So what happens when instead of trying to grasp forms, what happens if ego tries to grasp itself? That is what he answers in the 5th sentence. And this is the very, very important sentence. He says it very simply in Tamil, Tedinal otum pidicum. Just 3 words. Tedinal means if seeking.
Yeah.
Otum means running.
Okay.
Pidicum means grasping.
Yeah.
So it begins to run, in other words. In English, we say it takes flight. In other words, it runs away.
Okay, yeah.
So Bhagavan illustrated that with he told various stories to illustrate that, but the best known one is the Mapare Torum, that is the bridegroom's friend. Are you familiar with that story?
No.
It's a very nice story. That is,
Okay.
you know, in old days in villages, marriages would go on for 5 days. It was a grand affair.
Yes.
And it would take place in the girl's house.
Yeah.
So one day, a wayfarer, someone who was just had no home, he was just wandering around.
Okay.
He was coming near a village, and he saw the party of a bridegroom coming to the village. So he thought to himself, this is a very nice opportunity.
Okay.
So he came there, and he went just ahead of the bridegroom's party. He entered the house of the bride, and he said, now they're arriving, you have to welcome them and this and that. So the bride's family thought he belongs to the bridegroom's. He's the bridegroom's best friend.
Yeah, I understood.
And then he came and he welcomed them. So the bridegroom's party thought he belongs to the bride's party. He didn't actually belong to either. Just like ego doesn't belong to Sat Chit.
Yeah, okay.
And it doesn't belong to the body, but it mixes the two. So this is the story Bhagavan told. So for 5 days, this fellow was having a great time. He was giving orders. He was being treated with great respect because everyone thought he belonged to the other party.
Yeah.
And after 5 days, all the guests started to leave. And when most people had left, there was just the bride's family and the bridegroom's family. They sat together to talk about all that had happened. And they began asking, who is this person? Who is that person? And, he's my uncle's brother, this, that, and so on and so forth. They were talking. And they said, and who was that best friend of the bridegroom? And they said, no, he didn't belong to our party. He belonged to your party. And they said, no, he didn't belong to our party. Then who is he? As soon as they began to search for him, he's a very wise fellow. He slipped away. He ran away and wasn't to be found. Likewise, this ego. It's bossing over. It's claiming to be Sat Chit, I am. Yeah. And it's at the same time claiming to be the body. It's taking these two things. This ego is thriving because we don't investigate it.
Yes.
So, as Bhagavan said, if we investigate it, it will take flight.
Yeah, the self-enquiry.
Exactly. Tedinal literally means if seeking. Bhagavan doesn't say who is to seek what, but the implication is if we as ego seek to know our own reality, who am I?
Yeah.
We as ego will take flight. In other words, what the implication of this verse is, the nature of ego is to rise, stand, and flourish by attending to things other than itself, by grasping form.
That's true.
But to subside and dissolve back into its source if it begins to investigate itself, if it turns its attention away from other things back towards itself to find out who am I, then no such thing as ego is to be found. In verse 17 of Upadesha Undiyar, Bhagavan says it beautifully. Manatinuruve maravadu chava manameno mondrile undipara markam nerakam idundipara. That is, if one investigates without forgetting, if one investigates the form of the mind without forgetting, there's no such thing as mind at all. In Sanskrit, he says, manasam tu kim margane krite neva manasam margamarjavat. So
Yeah.
there's neighbor manasam, there's no such thing as mind. Mind here means the same as ego.
Ego,
So
yeah.
we seem to be ego so long as we're looking at other things.
Yes, yes, understood.
But if we, instead of looking at other things, if we look back to see who am I, there's no such thing as ego to be found.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
So this is the fundamental principle of Bhagavan's teachings. So
Yeah.
Bhagavan has made it clear how very simple this is. We seem to be in bondage because we're grasping the form of this body as I.
Body, yes, I.
And now we're caught up in samsara, we're in bandham, all these problems arise only because of this identification. And there's a very simple way to get rid of this.
Yes, yes.
Instead of grasping other things, we need to try and grasp ourselves. In other words, we need to turn our attention away from all phenomena, back towards the I to whom all phenomena appear. To whom do all these things appear? To me.
Yeah, yeah.
Who am I? So we turn our attention back within to see who am I.
Who
Then
am
the
I?
ego will disappear. So this is such. Bhagavan was repeatedly stressing this.
Yeah,
But all we have to do is just, we as ego need to turn our attention back on ourselves, and as ego we will subside and dissolve back into our source, which is our own being, and we'll just be as we actually are. So it is so simple.
Yeah, that's true.
But though it is, and Bhagavan made it clear, it's very, very easy. In Atma-vichara, Bhagavan said, more than any other path, this path is extremely easy.
Easy, yeah.
But if you ask anyone who tries to practice this path, they will tell you, oh, no, this is very difficult. So why does it seem difficult when it's actually very easy?
Can I tell my
Yes.
experience why I'm feeling difficulties?
Yes.
In my point of view, knowing is easy,
Yeah.
but experiencing it is difficult.
But why is it difficult?
Because as you say, the ego is the subsuming the ego, like leaving the ego.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult because as you know, we are bonded to this from many so many lives.
Yeah.
And like I'm not able to tell in words.
Shall I give a simple example to illustrate why it seems difficult?
Yeah.
Supposing you go to the edge of a very high cliff.
Okay.
To jump off that cliff is very easy.
Yes.
But would you be able to do so? Though we all know it's very easy to jump, none of us we say, no, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Why? Because we don't want to jump. It's not difficult to jump, but we don't want to jump. Likewise, as Bhagavan says, if we investigate ourselves, that is giving up ego, that is giving up everything. In verse 26, he says, if ego comes into existence, everything comes into existence. If ego doesn't exist, everything doesn't exist. Ego itself is everything. Therefore, investigating what it is giving up everything. So until we are ready to give up everything, until we are ready to surrender ourselves completely, we are not willing to do this. This is why Bhagavan said, Bhakti is the mother of jnana.
Yes.
We can succeed in this path only if we have all-consuming love.
Love. Yeah.
Because we will not surrender ourselves unless our love for God or for pure being is greater than our love for all other things. So this supreme love, supreme bhakti is required to succeed in this path.
Wow. I totally understood.
Yeah.
I like that point of jump. We know that jumping off the cliff is easy, but we are not willing to jump.
Exactly.
Wise.
So knowing ourselves is very easy. If we want to know ourselves, but we are not ready. Oh, yes, I want to know myself, we all say. I want liberation. Bhagavan once said, everyone who comes here says they have come only for liberation. But if I show a small sample of liberation, all the crows will fly away and I'll be left sitting here alone. Because though we say we want liberation, we are not ready to pay the price for it.
Yeah, that's true.
We want to hold on to this false identity and have liberation. The two cannot go together, because liberation is liberation from this false identity.
Yeah,
so we need to be willing to let go. And we can let go of all other things only by holding on to ourselves.
only the real thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But holding on to ourselves is very easy if we are willing to do so. But we are lacking that willingness. This is why Bhagavan made it clear, practice is absolutely essential.
Practice.
Because what Bhagavan explained is, because the nature of ego cannot for a moment, it cannot rise and it cannot stand and it cannot flourish without constantly grasping form.
Yes, that's true.
The forms it grasps are all Vishayas. Vishayas means objects or phenomena.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So as ego, it is the nature of ego to have strong Vishaya vasanas. Vishaya vasanas means that inclination to be constantly grasping Vishayas, to be constantly seeking happiness in things other than ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Those Vishaya vasanas are what make us unwilling to jump off the cliff.
Jump off the cliff, yeah.
Metaphorically, I mean,
that's true.
We are not willing to turn within and surrender ourselves because we have so much liking to go outwards.
These impressions, due to the impressions?
No, vasanas are not impressions. Vasanas are inclinations.
Inclinations.
That is, we are strongly vasanas are the seeds that give rise to likes, dislikes, desires, attachments, hopes, fears.
Okay.
So the vasanas, that's why it said the vasanas are what make up the chittam or the karana sarira. That's the anandamaya kosha. It's made up of these vasanas.
Yeah.
Which are what the seeds that sprout as all these desires and so on. So,
yeah, understood.
So the vasanas are the inclinations. Impressions are memories. If you see something, if you have an experience, it leaves an impression in your mind. That's a memory. But that's gross. But experiences are gross and memories are gross. Vasanas are very, very subtle.
Okay, understood.
But that is the subtlest of all things is ego. The next most subtle thing is the vasanas. And the vasanas make up the karana sarira.
Yeah, karana sarira.
All karana sarira. Because the seeds of trees are what causes the tree to grow. So everything in seed form, all Vishayas in seed form are Vishaya vasanas. So Vishaya vasanas are a problem because it's under the sway of Vishaya vasanas, but we are constantly going outwards trying to experience this or to experience that.
Yeah.
The opposite of Vishaya vasana is Sat vasana. Just like Vishaya vasana means the inclination to experience Vishayas, Sat vasana is the inclination to experience just being.
Being, yeah. Sat
vasana. By holding on to. So when we are practicing self-investigation, Atma-vichara, we are turning our attention in towards our being. In other words, we're holding on to our being.
Yeah.
So the more we practice, the more the liking to hold on to our being will increase.
Okay, understood.
Because one important thing to understand about vasanas have no strength of their own. Yeah, vasanas derive their strength from us.
Us, yeah.
So we all have so many vasanas. Bhagavan said the vasanas rise in countless numbers like ocean waves. So constantly the whole of our waking and dream state is nothing but a play of our vasanas.
Vasanas.
So So we have so many vasanas. What, as I say, the vasanas have no strength of their own. They derive their strength from us.
Yes.
So how any particular vasana is strengthened, if we allow ourselves to be swayed by a vasana,
Yeah.
the more we allow ourselves to be swayed by it, the stronger it will become. We can see in the case of someone who has some obsessive thought, or someone who has an addiction, someone who's addicted to smoking or to alcohol or to some drug, or someone who's addicted to some particular pattern of thinking. They have an obsessive thought or an obsessive fear, phobia of something. The more they, if it's a say, if you supposing you've got a fear of something, some people, for example, have irrational fear of spiders, for example.
Yes.
The more they think about it, the more afraid they become.
Yeah.
Or someone who is smoking, the more they smoke, the more difficult it is to give up. Or someone who's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
The more they drink, the more they want to drink. So this is the nature of vasanas. But the more we allow ourselves to be swayed by any particular vasana, the stronger that vasana becomes.
Yes.
So for countless janmas, for countless lives, we have been allowing ourselves to be swayed by Vishaya vasanas.
Yes, that's true.
So our Vishaya vasanas are, for most of us, pretty strong. In fact, for all of us, they're very strong. So,
Very strong,
so how do we weaken these Vishaya vasanas? And how do we strengthen the Satvasana? By the same, that is, the means to strengthen the Satvasana is the means to weaken the Vishaya vasanas. And that is self-investigation. Because when we are investigating ourselves, that is when we are trying to hold on to self-attentiveness, we are thereby allowing ourselves to be swayed by the Satvasana, and we are avoiding allowing ourselves to be swayed by any Vishaya vasana.
Yes.
The more we practice this, the stronger the Satvasana becomes, and the weaker the Vishaya vasanas become.
Yeah.
That is why patient and persistent practice is the only way to succeed.
Okay. Understood. So here also again, it's our willingness to shift our vasana to sat.
Yes, we must be willing. That is, but all this happens by grace.
Grace,
because the nature of ego, since we cannot rise, stand, or flourish as ego, the very nature of ego is to always grasp other things, always to have liking to be attending to things other than itself. So from where will this liking to attend to our being, from where can this come? It can come only from our being. It cannot come from ego.
Yes.
So that is what we actually are. Is the one infinite whole, the one infinite Sat Chit Ananda. That is what we actually are. That Sat Chit Ananda is, we can call it Bhagavan. I mean, that is what Bhagavan actually is.
That's true.
He's our own self. So we see, because we take ourselves to be a body, Bhagavan seems to us to be a body. So we take him to be as if he's a person, but that's not what he actually is. What he actually is our own being. But even when we understand that he's not really that external form, he's what's ever shining in Mia's eye, even when we understand that, our love is still imperfect. Because we are limited, we can only have limited love.
Yes, that's true.
But Bhagavan is unlimited. He's infinite.
Infinite.
He is Satyam Jnanam Anantam.
Tam Brahma.
Yeah. So because he is unlimited, he doesn't see us as other than himself.
Yes, that's true.
So because he doesn't see us as other than himself, he loves us as himself.
Yeah.
So Bhagavan's love for us is infinite.
Infinite, yeah.
And that infinite love is what we experience as his grace.
Grace, yeah.
So Bhagavan often used to say, grace is not something that's going to descend from heaven or somewhere.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Grace is what is ever shining in you as I. Grace is our own being.
Being.
So it is that power of grace, but sows this seed of sattvasana in our heart. So it has sown that seed, and Bhagavan is like a gardener, but he's a gardener who, once he sows a seed, he will nurture that seed until it grows into a full plant. In Bhagavan's garden, no seed will go to waste.
Yeah, that's true.
So he puts that seed of sattvasana in the heart of each of us, and he nurtures it. But we have to cooperate with him.
Yeah, that's true.
So by trying to turn within, we are cooperating with Bhagavan, because he's sown that seed. It needs our cooperation for that seed to flourish.
Yeah.
Why Bhagavan said, grace is not something that is going to descend from heaven. Grace is always in your heart.
Yeah.
To make us understand, grace works through us.
Yeah,
sometimes people ask, can we attain it by grace or by effort? That question shows a lack of understanding, because whatever effort we make in this path, we are making that effort only by grace.
Yes, yeah.
Because it is grace that gives us the liking to try to turn within.
Yes,
so this is what Bhagavan refers to in Arunachaksaram as the Aral Poratam, the warfare of grace.
Yeah.
That is, there's a battle going on in the heart of each of us between the Sattvasana and the Vishaya Vasanas. The Sattvasana is grace.
Grace, yeah.
And the Vishaya Vasanas are Maya. So this battle is going on in our heart.
Yeah.
Which side do we want to join? We are still too often siding with the wrong side.
Yeah.
We're siding with the Kauravas instead of with the Pandavas.
Yeah. In Arunachala Aksharanamalai.
Yes.
Bhagavan in the first verse, he says, whoever chant the name of Arunachala, please remove the ego. So
it has a deeper meaning than that. That is, Bhagavan's writings often have double meanings.
Yes, that's true.
That is, he says, Arunachala Mena Ahame.
Ahame.
Aham, in Tamil, aham has two meanings.
Okay.
One is, aham, it's a Sanskrit pronoun that means I.
Yeah.
Aham is also a Tamil noun that means heart or home or the abode. It means whatever is inside is aham.
Okay.
So sometimes in Tamil Nadu, you'll find people have name their house as, for example, Ramana Aham or Shiva Aham. Aham there means home. A hotel, a place to eat in Tamil Nadu is called Unavaham. It's a home. It's an eating home. It's a food home. So aham, but in the context in which Bhagavan uses it, aham means both heart and I. So it has a double meaning. Ahame means in the heart.
Yeah.
It also means only I.
Only I.
So that verse has a double meaning. The implication is that if we take it as in the heart, aham meaning in the heart, Arunachala, you root out the ego of those who meditate on you in the heart as Arunachala.
Arunachala, yeah.
It also means you root out the egos of those who meditate on you, who meditate on you, but Arunachala alone is I. There's no I other than Arunachala. So it has that double meaning. So what does it mean to meditate on Arunachala in the heart? Superficially, we can take it meditating on the name and form of Arunachala. And that is definitely good. Bhagavan has made it clear in Arunachal Patikam, verse 10, but if we meditate on the name and form of Arunachala, it has a power to turn our mind within and make the mind motionless, and it then feeds upon it. So meditating on the name and form of Arunachala is good, but the deeper meaning is Arunachala is I. So meditating on I, you will root out the ego. If you meditate on the name and form of Arunachala, it will give you the love to meditate on I. And when you meditate on I, that is the true meditation on Arunachala, because Arunachala is what is always shining in our heart as I.
Yes, that's
so
true.
The external name and form has that power to turn our mind to the true form, the Swarupa of Arunachala, which is what is shining in our heart as I.
That's true, Michael. Yeah, and recently, like I was thinking, so in a different manner. So I was imagining, so how Ramana Maharshi, all like these all great scholars,
Yes.
Maharshi, have like view the word. So how Ramana Maharshi will view this word, the universe. So because he has already has experienced the eternal being of I, so how would he like see this universe, see on his waking state? So I was trying to imagine how
Okay.
would it be?
It is very difficult for us to
Okay.
understand or to even conceive what Bhagavan is.
Yeah.
Bhagavan, though he appeared outwardly in name and form as a person,
Yeah.
his core teaching is, I am not this body. So
Yeah.
he is not what he seems to us to be. For example, people who have a great good fortune of being present there when he was present,
Yeah.
they saw him as a person. And in
Yes.
their view, Bhagavan seemed to be a person who is seeing the world, answering questions, cutting the vegetables, going around the hill, doing all these things.
Yeah.
But only those who had a deep understanding understood, though Bhagavan has appeared in this form, this is not his Swarupa. His
Yes.
Swarupa is what is shining in the heart as I.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have the story of his outward life, but at the
Yeah.
age of 16, he had a fear of death and he turned his attention inwards. That story is an instructive story because it teaches us that in order to know the truth, we need to turn within. But all this is true, this outward life of Bhagavan, as he made clear, is true only in our view, not in his view. Because Bhagavan is not a person who has realized the reality, because no person can ever realize the reality. How a person is something finite. How come a finite know the infinite? So when we know ourselves as we actually are, we completely lose our separate existence. In the Upanishads, it said, the knower of Brahman becomes Brahman.
Brahman, yeah.
That's just a way of saying it. It doesn't literally mean that you become Brahman, because Brahman is beyond becoming. There can be no becoming Brahman. When we can know Brahman only by being Brahman.
Being Brahman, yeah.
And to be Brahman, all we need to do is to give up this false identification by knowing who we actually are. Then we will know that we were always Brahman.
Yeah, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Bhagavan is Brahman itself. So how does Brahman see the world?
Very nice. I understood that.
Brahman it's also said, Brahman is ekam eva advaitiyam, one only without a second.
Without a second, yes.
So how do you think Brahman sees the world?
That no point. I think that
Brahman sees the world as itself.
Itself, yeah.
We see the world as many names and forms.
But
Brahman sees the world as the one formless reality that underlies that appearance.
Oh, wow.
Supposing you see a rope,
Yeah,
and you mistake it to be a snake. We
yeah.
can say you're seeing the rope as a snake. But supposing Bhagavan says to you, look at it carefully, see what it actually is. You look at it carefully, you see it's a rope.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, you can say, but now you're seeing the snake as a rope. But what does it mean to see the snake as a rope? It means you're not seeing the snake at all. You're seeing only the rope.
Yeah.
So when it is said that the jnanis see the world as Brahman, it means they see only Brahman. Because Brahman is the rope, the world is the snake. The world is only an appearance.
Wow.
So Bhagavan sees the world as it is, which is Brahman, the one indivisible whole.
Thank you, Michael. It is very interesting.
So what we see as all these so many different names and forms is what Bhagavan sees as the one indivisible Satchidananda.
Yeah, that I understood your point. Yeah, because I was thinking like how Bhagavan used to see, but I understood right based on your teaching that
It's not my teaching, it's Bhagavan's teaching. I don't have any
Bhagavan,
teaching.
Bhagavan's teaching. It's not a person at all, it's a Brahman.
Yes.
Understand. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. There are two beautiful verses in Uludu Napadu.
Yeah.
But Bhagavan writes in a very subtle manner.
Yeah.
So many people misunderstand these two verses. That's verses 17 and 18.
Okay.
I'll just I'll just refer to the verses.
Oh, no problem.
These are very nice verses.
Okay.
That is, each of these verses, he begins by saying something that seems to be quite contrary to his teaching.
Okay.
In verse 17, he begins by saying, Udal nane, the body is only I. Tane unadaku, tane unaraku, unandaku. Both for those who do not know, and for those who do not know themselves, and for those who know themselves, the body is only I. So that is, Bhagavan is saying, in effect, both for the jnani and the ajnani, the body is only I. So that seems to be quite against his teaching, but his teaching is the body is not I. So what does he mean? Then he explains it. He says, for those who do not know themselves, I is only the extent of a body. In other words, for us ajnanis, I is limited to this body.
Yeah.
We're limited to the extent of this body.
Yeah, that's
we exist here, not there. We exist now, not then.
They think I is a product of the body.
Yeah. Well, we fully feel that this I is limited to the body. I was born in such and such a date. One day I'm going to die. So I'm limited in time. I'm limited in space. I'm limited in so many ways.
Yeah.
But then he says, for those who have known themselves within the body, oneself, I, shines without limit. When he says that I shines without limit, all forms limit. So when he says I shines without limit, he implies I shines devoid of form.
Yeah.
So why does the jnani say udal nane, the body is only I? Because for the jnani, there's nothing other than I. So what we see as the body is what Bhagavan sees as I.
Yeah, that's true. I understand.
In the same way, he said, I mean, the end of the verse saying, consider this is the difference between them is only this. Then in the next verse, he says, he says the same about the world. The world is real, both for those who do not know and for those who have known. Those who do not have knowledge and those who have knowledge, the world is real. Again, it seems to me Bhagavan is saying something quite against his teaching, because Bhagavan is always telling us the world is unreal. Why suddenly he says here, the world is real, not only for us, even for the jnani. But he then explains it. For those who do not know, reality is to the extent of the body. Reality is the extent of the world. So for us ajnanis, reality is limited to this world.
Limited the world, yeah.
For those who have known, reality pervades, devoid of form, as the support of the world. As the word he adaram, as the adaram. Just like the rope is the adaram for the snake, the reality is the adaram for the world. So the world is real as Brahman. It's unreal as world.
Yeah,
just like the snake is unreal as a snake, but real as a rope.
Yeah, as a rope. Yeah, I think I can relate these two verses.
Yes.
To the last, like the 9th verse of Dakshinamurti Stotram.
Yes.
Where Adi Shankara tries to explain the same thing. What?
Yeah.
Ramana Maharshi. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I understood.
Right.
Yeah. And yes, Michael. And so like as you know, like this world, this like appearance of this world, and like I will like take a few good insights from you, where like a willingness to let it go, and heating and
that love, that bhakti is absolutely essential.
And the satvasana. And turning a vasana into sat instead of asat. We have to turn a vasana into sat.
Yes.
Yeah. And
but there are many different interpretations of Vedanta. But the general idea people have is that that Advaita is the part of jnana. And all the other forms of all the Vishishta Dvaita, Abheda, Chintya Abheda, Suddha Dvaita, all these other forms of interpretations of Vedanta, these are all bhakti.
Yeah.
But Bhagavan has made it clear, but bhakti is the very heart of Advaita. You can't have Advaita without bhakti.
Bhakti, that's true.
The fullness of bhakti is Advaita. Because so long as you have two, the love is imperfect. Because it's limited. The fullness of love can be possible only in the state where there is one.
One, yeah.
People say, no, but for love you need two. But Bhagavan said, no, you don't need two. We all have greatest love for what? We all have greatest love for ourselves. So the greatest love is love for ourselves. So we can love God fully only when we know God as ourselves. Then our love is not divided.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, understood.
So Bhagavan has not only taught the cream of Advaita, he's also taught the cream of the whole of Vedanta.
Yeah.
So Bhagavan has brought all these different views, he's brought them all together. And Bhagavan said, why are there so many different interpretations of Vedanta? Because different teachings are required for us at different stages of our spiritual development. So all these different interpretations, why do Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and so on, why do they give room for so many interpretations?
It depends on
to suit people at different levels.
Levels, yeah.
Bhagavan often points out, Krishna begins the Gita in chapter 2, pointing out the very highest teachings.
Yeah.
But Arjuna is not able to, in his confusion, he's not able to
Yeah.
fully
Yeah.
grasp. So he comes down to present the same thing, but in different ways.
Different ways. Yeah, you
So
start with karma yoga.
yeah. So no, but it's not karma yoga. What he's actually saying in the first chapter, in chapter 2,
Yeah,
he begins by saying, you are neither the killer nor the killed. In other words, you're not, and that is, there was never a time when you didn't exist, when I didn't exist, when all these great kings and gurus and they didn't exist. He's pointing to one eternal reality, Brahman, there. So he's giving the very highest teaching, but at the same time, he gives so many other teaching suited to people at different levels of spiritual development.
Yes.
So Vedanta is like a mother who gives different food to the children according to their age. She doesn't give to the newborn child the same food she gives to her 18-year-old child.
Yes.
So like that, all these different interpretations are to suit people at different levels. But Bhagavan has pointed out what is the truth behind all these different things. And he's given central importance to bhakti.
Yes.
Because there can be no Advaita without bhakti. Advaita is the fullness of bhakti.
Yeah, because with bhakti only I could able to understand the
Exactly.
Without bhakti, like there is no
Yes, exactly.
because I want to I was more devoted to Lord Shiva.
Yes.
So before this studying this Advaita or something,
Yeah.
my like so I was so interested in knowing like I want to see him or like I want
Yeah.
to know him. Who is he?
Yes.
Then after like studying the core teachings of Advaita
Yeah.
on the great people like
Yeah.
Ramana,
Yeah.
then I understood what I am searching is within me. There is nothing else.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like your point like bhakti is a main pillar
It's the
of
very
Advaita.
heart of it all.